Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Leadership Speak, the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better, self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. My name is Elena Costandino, your Sergeant at Arms for this meeting. Nice to make your acquaintance. I come from Cyprus, and I have been a Toastmaster for almost 2 years. These Toastmaster study groups have transformed my skill set and my career, and I plan to keep learning and giving back. My biggest challenge this year is, along with other Nicosia Toastmaster members, to start a new club at the University of Cyprus where I teach. Our mission is to attract the youth to Toastmaster International and inspire by example. Allow me to remind you of our club mission. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Our timer, Mario Spirkovsky, has a virtual hand raise, so we all can immediately see who's keeping the time. Excellent. Our Toastmaster of the day who will lead our meeting is Toastmaster Ejura Okpanachi. Ejura is a lifelong learner, dedicated to honing her communication, leadership, and connection skills. Passionate about empowering others, she thrives on inspiring them to see the endless possibilities within reach. Since joining Toastmasters in 2017, she's experienced transformative growth beyond her wildest dreams. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Ejura.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elena. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Leadership Speak. I trust we're all doing well today. It's my honor and pleasure to host today's meeting. Leadership by example, or leading by example. One of my favorite movies is Invictus. And one of the reasons why I love this movie because it demonstrates, in a particular scene in the movie, it demonstrates a powerful example of leading by example. Invictus, I'll just give you a brief context, a short context on what the movie is all about. So the first Black South African president, in the person of Nelson Mandela, is determined to unite a nation that is still reeling from apartheid. So he decides to do this through sports, rugby to be precise. And in 1995, the Rugby World Cup was going to hold, and he was determined to unite the nation. And how was he going to do this? The official team for the rugby in South Africa is the Springboks. Now, this team is an all-white team. And Nelson Mandela was going to show his support to the team. And he did this at the risk of hatred and resentment and resistance from his supporters, who are predominantly Black, and also from his political allies. But he was determined to unite the nation. Why? Because he believed in unity and collaboration. He believed in unity and living in peace. So he invited the captain of the team. In the movie, there's a scene where they are having tea, and Nelson Mandela, played by Morgan Freeman, invites Francois Pienaar, that's the captain of the rugby team, played by Matt Damon, and he invites him over for tea. And they're having a conversation about the power of forgiveness and reconciliation. He's talking to him about how to forgive, how to move on, how to reconcile, and how to achieve a vision and a goal through unity. The reason why he was able to do this so well was because Nelson Mandela himself, as everybody knows, has already demonstrated the power of forgiveness when he was oppressed and put in jail for close to 3 decades of his life. He came out without bitterness. He came out with forgiveness and love. and unity in his heart. So in trying to unite the nation, he had already demonstrated what he was trying to do. So he was seen as a symbol of humility, as a symbol of forgiveness, as a symbol of togetherness. And all of this he did with so much courage, even with the resistance from his own supporters. Another thing he did in the movie that struck me so much was the fact that during the matches leading to the finals, he always attended the matches. He always attended to support the Springbok team. Now, remember, I said this already, this is an all-white team. He kept going for their matches, much to the anger and disappointment of his supporters. And then on the final day of the final match, he actually wore their jersey, showing and demonstrating true forgiveness, true unity. So overall, throughout the film, this film that I love so much, his actions and words exemplified leadership by example, inspiring others to embrace forgiveness and reconciliation and unity for the better pursuit of a better South Africa. I'll live with this. Everyone knows that if you're going to influence anybody, they have to see what you're talking about. You have to walk the talk. If you have children, you know what I'm talking about. We all know that children don't necessarily do as you say, they do as you do. And that is exactly what leadership is all about. Are we walking the talk? Are we doing as we say? Are we practicing as we preach? One thing I like to tell people all the time is I like to preach what I already practice. You should be practicing these things already, and it will be so much easier when you preach. You'll have a lot more followers. You'll be able to influence a lot more people. Having said that, I would like to invite to give a toast to the theme of today's message. And I'd like to invite someone who is determined to become a better self-directed leader and learning every day to become a better leader by leading by example. Please let's welcome John Ojefo. John, you have the virtual lectern.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Dear members, guests, and visitors, it is my great pleasure to raise a toast to Leadership Speak and to each member's unwavering commitment to leading by example. Leading by example is a leadership style where leaders model the values and behaviors they nurture and want to see in their team members and proteges. These leaders don't just preach it, they live it. They breathe it and walk the talk as they help others tap into their potentials. According to Albert Einstein, setting an example is not the main means of influencing others. It is the only means. Research also shows that leading by example builds credibility and trust, creates alignment, and boosts morale and results. In fact, John C. Maxwell said, "Nothing speaks like results." He added, if you want to build the kind of credibility that connects with people, then deliver results before you deliver a message. Go out there and do what you advise others to do. Indeed, at Leadership Speak, this ethos isn't just a mantra, it is our way of life. Leadership Speak ably epitomizes this, and the results are phenomenal. In just our first year, we soared to the top, ranking among the top 5 clubs globally. We achieved President Distinguished Club status 3 Toastmaster years in a row, won the 2022-2023 District 86 Tony Bradshaw Award, and members reached the semifinals of the World World Championship for Public Speaking in the past 2 years. Currently, Leadership Speak leads all Toastmaster clubs worldwide, with members spanning 21 countries, impressive 72 education goals, and completed 7 Triple Crowns this year till now. Our commitment to excellence, coupled with the state-of-the-art technology and quality meetings, presentations, and constructive evaluation sets us apart. Our self-directed members are empowered and continue to soar to new heights, pushing the boundaries and redefining success through leading by example. Just this last Thursday, a member of Leadership Speak was nominated for the Toastmaster of the Year award in District 123 for going above and beyond in his contribution to community development outside Toastmasters. Bravo! This is leading by example in action. Dear members, guests, and visitors, before we delve into our meeting today, please unmute yourselves, raise your glasses, and toast to leading by example.
Lead by example.
Lead by example.
By experience.
Lead by leadership.
Thank you.
Lead
Back
by
to you,
example.
Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. John Ojefo, for that exceptional toast. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Next, I'll be calling on our role players, and our first role player is a timer and played by Toastmaster Mario Spikovsky. I'm so sorry, Spikovsky. Kindly tell us a little bit about your role so that we know what to expect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Hi, everyone. I'm Mario Spikovsky. I'm your timer today. I will be keeping track of times for all the roles, prepared speeches, evaluations, start of the day, the toast, which I already did, as well as the grammarians report. And I will post the chat after each session for the prepared speeches and for the evaluations in the chat. I will display the green, yellow, and the red according to the times displayed on the agenda. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Mario. Next, I'll be calling on our grammarian, played by Marcella St. Omar. Can you please describe your role to us, Toastmaster Marcella, if you're there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster. It is my pleasure to be your grammarian at this meeting today. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I will take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, and thoughts. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. The word of the day is elevate, which means to raise or lift something up to a higher position. It also means to elevate others that we support and uplift them, help them to reach their full potential and achieve their goals through encouragement, showing or sharing their work and inviting them into conversations where their voice could offer perspective and to add value. An example using the word of the day, having joined Toastmasters in 2019, she has now elevated her position to CEO. Okay, each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day, and I will present my report later on during the meeting. Thank you. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Excellent. Thank you, Marcella. We'll be moving on swiftly to our first speech for today, which is the educational speech. And this will be presented by the leadership architect and the Grand Master Coach. with a speech title, Leading by Example. Please welcome Brahm Memone. Brahm Memone, Leading by Example. Brahm, you have the floor.
Before that, you can call the evaluator for the evaluation criteria and so on. Aswati Rajan, if you
I
may.
see, okay. All right, I'll be calling on the evaluator for
Aswati.
Aswati, yes. Aswati Rajan, you are evaluating the educational speaker. Kindly let us know what to expect from him.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. So I'm going to evaluate the leadership speech, which is motivating others, delivered by distinguished Toastmaster Brahm Memone. And the purpose of this project is for the member to practice the skills needed to motivate team members through a completion of a project. And during this completion of this project, the member would have spent time developing a project, building a team, and working with that team to bring the project to fruition. And also he would have asked team members and at least one club officer to evaluate his leadership through the completion of 360-degree evaluation. So all the very best, DTM Brahm. I am very much excited to hear from you. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster today.
Thank you very much, Aswati. I'll be calling again on DTM Brahm, our master coach and leadership architect, with a speech title, Leading by Example. Leading by Example, Brahm Memone. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Besides what Aswati read, I had actually had a conversation with Aswati about actually what I was going to talk about. It's a much broader scope than exactly what's in the project, because it's called Leading by Example. And I will tell you all about Leading by Example, because the whole concept of being in this club is a project for me to learn how to lead by example, to be self-directed. That is my project, a lifetime project. Lead by example. How many of you believe that leading by example is key? Put that in the chat. Let me have a look, see if that is what you do. If you think that is the key thing that we have to have, walk the talk. Leading by example is key in your life. Let's put it in the chat. If it is yes, if it is no, maybe whatever that answer is, you leave your embarrassment, your guilt, your shame outside the door, and let's talk authentically here. So, absolutely part of executive presence, goes without saying, amongst other things. Yes, yes, yes. Walk the talk. Wonderful. Now, coincidentally, just a couple of days ago, since we set the theme of the meeting, I was with a friend. He's in his 80s. He's in his wise years in his life, and we were having coffee. And he knows I'm a coach. He always turns around to me and he's trying to sort of see what my thoughts are around certain things. And he was talking about leading by example. He mentioned something. He said, some of the communities that I have partaken in before, the leaders in there have always said, do what I tell you to do, don't do what I do. What do you think, Brahm? And we had a conversation around that. Isn't that familiar? Do what I tell you to do, don't do what I do. How many of you are familiar with that? Yeah, put that in the chat if you're familiar with that. Give me a big capital yes. Do what I tell you to do, don't do what I do. A big capital yes. Yeah, exactly, right? You've seen that. You know that, you experienced it. Do I say not as I do? Yes, absolutely, Francois. So if you remember, let's rewind the clock a little bit. The pandemic started for me in where I am, March of 2020. We are in March. Actually, come to think of it, it was like actually exactly 4 years ago. We were told to go home, close down where we were meeting on Saturday mornings, and the club was closed down. Now, we heard the news over the year in 2020, all these politicians of major countries, well-developed, far well-developed countries, leaders of the world, where we see them often on news and so on, they were not, they were telling us, lockdown, don't get out of your house, do the minimum that you can do, and don't congregate anywhere. Yet, do you remember prime ministers and presidents of big countries with huge economies were partying? They were going on vacations. Do you remember that? If you remember that, put yes, a big yes in the chat. Let's see. Do you remember that? Prime Minister of England, President of the United States, right? And many other countries. Why is it Britain and the United States? They're some of the biggest countries that we associate with out here in the West, where I'm in Canada at least, right? So, and actually including the Canadian Prime Minister at that time as well, with his wife and his family. He was on vacation, and there was pictures in the news. And we were told to lock down. So guess what? The public doesn't trust politicians. The public doesn't trust news. The public doesn't trust anything. There is low trust amongst the public. In societies right across globally, there's very low trust. Would you agree on that, that there's very low trust? If you don't agree, say no. If you agree with me, say yes. Let's have a look again. Or say low trust, or no. Yes, so there is low trust. Yes, definitely. Brahmjit, Barbara, everyone's saying yes. So everything that I'm saying here, you're all in agreement with. Unfortunately, yes. John GFO, yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, that is the reason what's going on around the world. Now, when we created Leadership Speak, we wanted to be different. Not for the sake of being different, but we wanted to sort of make sure that we adhere to the core values of Toastmasters International. We said we would do what we said we would do, mean what we say, and say what we mean, and walk the talk. And so we created a vision statement. And as you heard from John Ojiefo here, we do walk the talk. And he's given you all the examples of how we've done in the past year, in this current year, and how things are happening as well with the membership. And the reason is, John Ojiefo was quite right, and the Toastmaster of the day, Ejura here, quite exactly bang on point. We build trust. When we build trust, you can see, if you go to the dashboard today, you'll see there's 60 members on the dashboard, 69 education awards on the dashboard. If you go to the daily reports, we got 84 education awards. As I always say, we are not after numbers. We are not trying to push numbers. What we are trying to push is walking the talk, being self-directed, walking the talk that is our vision statement, being better self-directed. This club is a premier club for Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. And every one of us is along that way, walking that talk. And when we walk that talk, we create trust. We begin to influence each other. We begin to inspire each other. And when we begin to create trust and inspire and influence each other, we congregate as a very strong community. If you look at our attrition numbers and our retention numbers, our attrition is the lowest that you could possibly have in a club. There's always attrition. There's never zero attrition. And therefore, of course, if the attrition is low, our retention is high, and new members are joining in at the same time. So there you go. We do walk the toast. We do walk our talk. And for those of you who are guests here, I would ask you to go after this meeting on the dashboard, which is the Toastmasters International dashboard. It's called dashboard.toastmasters.org, and look up Leadership Speak. And you will see what I just said, it's there. Now, last week, actually, it's already been a couple of weeks ago, I did a project called Membership and PR. Me and my evaluator, Aswati Rajan, we presented to the global audience membership and PR. That was a project we had done. And for that project, I needed a team. So in that team also, we have to create trust, we have to influence, and we have to inspire so that everybody comes together to get the project done. So even though me and Aswati were speaking, there were other people behind the scenes as well who were helping with the project. The graphics were done, the Zoom master was there, the moderator was there, somebody was putting in our guest feedback forms and so on. And that team always comes together to create an extraordinary event in those projects that I do. Excuse me. So in those projects that I do, and you've seen me do many different projects, and these are like mini workshops, basically, mini trainings for Toastmasters globally. And some of you here who are now members of our club, and some of you who are guests still here, have come to those projects. Some of those people who've come to those projects and the training, the workshops that we do, have seen how well it's executed. And I don't know, pleased or not pleased, but there have been people who have joined Leadership Speak before even coming to our meetings to see what we actually do in our meetings on Saturdays. And I said, take my money. I see what you're doing, and I want to be a member of your club. Of course, I speak to them beforehand. I have a Zoom meeting with them, and I talk to them. I make sure they actually know what they're getting into. And what they're getting into is it's a premier club for Toastmasters, for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. And they buy that. And they've seen that in the workshops and the trainings that we do. And by no means was membership and PR training any less. We actually walked the talk. And out of that, you've seen, for those who are members here, so many new members are joining already, right? And I've got a slew of members who will be joining in April. Why? We walk the talk. We exemplify everywhere we go, everywhere I go, where I go and where my team goes. I expect my team to exemplify Leadership Speak. So when we are doing projects that are not on Saturdays, but on other days, we all have to walk that talk. And all the core values of Toastmasters International are present, and our club vision statement is present, our mandate is always present, and we talk from that place. So here's the thing. I created the team, and these are the people that I love working with. They're just amazing bunch of people. Paramjit was the Zoom master, and he was just exemplary in what he did. Totally walked the talk. Jyoti Thomas was the moderator, and she did an excellent job how she started the meeting and how she conducted the whole thing from behind the scenes while I and Aswati were doing the training. Hannah Schmidt was there. She's not here today. I would like to acknowledge her as well. And she always makes sure that guests are looked after and that the guest feedback form is posted at the right time, in the right place, and so on. And now here's the thing. For those of you who were there on that day 2 weeks ago, or is it 3 weeks now? The past international president was present. She attended. She came in half an hour early. She was in the meeting throughout for the 3 hours, took copious notes, didn't complain that it was like 3 hours long, took copious notes about what we were doing, asked questions, and then she said, that was an amazing workshop. But that's not where we stopped. Coincidentally, we had already invited the past international president, Lark Dolly, to be coming at the following Saturday to our club meeting for the International Women's Day celebration. And it was an all-women's day, a women's celebration, and all the women actually held the roles that they were doing. Again, Lark Dolly came in half an hour early. She watched what was going on. She did her keynote presentation, stayed on, and then at the end, of course, She waited for a few minutes. We talked to her as a guest. When we did the guest introductions and talking to the guest, she was there. We talked to her. And then she went. And then she wrote back a note, which all you members know what she said. She was talking about we being exemplary. She was talking about us walking the talk. From the highest position up in Toastmasters International, we got a recommendation. So we do. All of you members here, therefore, whoever you are and whoever is a member here today, and whoever wants to be a member in the future, think about this. You make a difference. You are walking the talk. You are the center of influence. You are the center of inspiration. That's who you are. That makes you extraordinary. That makes you very special. Because, as we said before, when I began the conversation today, a lot of leaders today don't walk the talk. They tell you what to do, but they do something different. That's why there's so many scandals. But we walk the talk. Now, I'm not saying that we are perfect. And so we are not going for perfection. That's why we said to become better self-directed leaders. There's no end to it. It's a mastery. It's a concept. It's a creative process of mastery. So in this creative process of mastery, we have achieved something globally. As John Ojefo pointed out, last year, in our very first full year of operation, we reached number 5 globally. Number 5 globally. And here's the thing, around this time last year, we had about 45, 50, maybe 55 education awards, maybe pushing towards 60 maybe. And somebody asked me, so what's your goal for the end of June? I said, if I hit 80 education awards, I'll be lucky. And I don't know what happened, but some of them, 1 or 2 of the members wanted us to be the top club globally. And they took the rally. And they rallied about, let's go for being one of the top clubs globally. Right now, we had number 15 or number 20, whatever it was at that time. And the members gathered together and they started to practice and prepare and plan their speeches. And they delivered so many speeches between March and June. Beyond my wildest dreams, we achieved 116 education awards. So when you set the platform right, when we set the platform correctly at Leadership Speak, the platform being become better self-directed leaders, and when people get that vision and they exemplify the vision, internalize it, and walk the vision, they can create miracles. And we saw that. And so this year, the challenge is out again, right? Should we have asked this question, do you want to be one of the top clubs? Now, we don't want the numbers to drive, numbers never drive excellence, but excellence and being exemplary drive numbers. And we are providing the most excellent service that you can have at a Toastmasters Club. We have created a very strong community, and they're going to drive the numbers, if at all. If not, I'm okay. It's up to the members. It's not only up to one person here, of course. So I know that the members are working hard. When I asked them, what is your goal for up to June 30th? And Paramjit here put together a spreadsheet for me, and we are working on that spreadsheet. And guess what the members said? Currently, if you remember, we are at 84 awards on the daily report sheet. 84 awards. But the members have said we will do 172 awards in total. That's more than double what we have right now. In the next 3.5 months, how we will do it, I have no idea. Last year, we provided many more meetings. We call them compression meetings. And a lot of you do remember that. And you came and spoke, and you prepared, planned your speeches, you spoke, and you got your evaluation, and you went to the next level of understanding how a speech is done and how to present and how to be a leader. And we created 116 awards. I leave it to you, members, as to what you want to do this year. I'm sure somebody will rally around that goal or try and do their best around that goal. So if everyone meets their goal, then what they've done is they've said, I will do so many speeches, and this is what I want to learn in doing those speeches, not just doing the speeches, but this is what I want to learn. If you remember, that was on your goal sheet. What are you learning and what do you want to be recognized for at the end of the year? Then you have walked the talk. You have said, I will do this, and you followed through. Now, this is by no means a pressure tactic. I'm just saying that this is what you said you do, so this is what you might end up doing, okay? Now, I speak all over the world, so my goals are usually 20 levels, and right now I'm at 11 levels. I've done so many different speeches and motivational strategies. This is one of those speeches and motivational strategies. And so I'm looking forward to completing my 20 levels, because if you look at my schedule for the next little while, it's full of invitations from clubs all over the world to come and speak to those clubs. So every time I go and speak, I mark it off. I get an evaluation and I mark it off as, that I have done a project. Usually I do project 1, 2, and 3 in all the other clubs. And then the project type of projects, I do them at Leadership Speak. That's why you see project after project after project here. And the rest of the speeches I'm doing everywhere else. So I try my best to walk the talk as well. And I think it influences and inspires the rest of the club, because each one of us does that. Influence and inspire and create trust. So ladies and gentlemen, let me end by saying that the membership and PR project was a great success. We had a lot of interest, and we saw a lot of members join Leadership Speak in March. And we have a slew of members, guests lined up to join in April, like about almost 10, of which probably 5 will join. And of course, as we do more projects, by the end of June, after the attrition, we might end up at 60 members and with a lot of education awards, because we lead by example. Madam Toastmaster.
Fantastic. That was incredible, DTM Brahm. Thank you so much. What a living example of walking the talk and leading by example. Look at all those numbers, all those achievements by the club and by you as well. Thank you so much for showing us what it means to lead by example. Your results are undeniable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Quickly moving on to our first speaker for today. Before I call her up, I would like to call on her evaluator. Please welcome Rinal Ghosh. Rinal, let's hear from you what to expect from our first speaker for today.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Today, I evaluate the Queen of Straight Talk. Yes, you guessed it right, Sandra Valks. She will be delivering speeches from Engaging Humor, Level 1, Project 3. The purpose of her project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback from the first topic, and apply the feedback to the second speech. So all the best to our Queen of Straight Talk, Sandra Valks. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Rinal. Like he has just introduced Sandra, I will say it again. She's a compassionate queen of straight talk. With her speech titled, Use It or Lose It. Please welcome Sandra Valks. Sandra Valks, use it or lose it. You have the floor, ma'am.
Use it or lose it. What's that? Your power of voice, your power of words, your power of speaking, your power of impact in the world. Use it or lose it. And today I want to talk about evaluation, because that's what this whole project is about anyhow. So I thought, what better topic? What shall I talk about? I'll talk about evaluation. Whether you're giving it or if you're receiving it, both ways require that most powerful Toastmaster skill, to listen up. Hey, folks, listen up. Pay attention. Listen up. Our leader Ralph Smedley, said, quote, "You have the freedom to speak as you will, but freedom implies an obligation to speak carefully, thoughtfully, and wisely." Finish off wisely. Isn't that a beautiful description of an evaluation? We have to learn to speak carefully, thoughtfully, and wisely. Smedley. Fellow Toastmasters, when we come to evaluation, what we're really doing is giving an opinion, whether asked for or not, because you know I'm in behind sending off my little opinions, which are not necessarily asked for, and you're welcome to delete it. I won't know. I'm not in the box. That's okay. But opinions, we have to be careful with as well. It's been wonderful for me to learn over my many years, 30 years now, that my straight talk used to be a little harsh. I had to learn to remember to stay compassionate. The straight talk I didn't want to take away. That's who I am. Turns out always was. Always, that's just who I am. And it was a hard lesson when I received that and thought, well, Sandra, what did you think of that? Like, why don't you give us opinion? I didn't realize that it was straight talk. But once I really owned it, then I could learn the compassion. Then I could learn that power of picking those words. In this area then, whether we're giving an evaluation or receiving an evaluation, let's look at 3 new perspectives. Just different words. Words are a different perspective. We already know the sandwich. But if we stop and think about it, when we're looking at that speaker, Submarino, when you're looking at me, remember what it's like to be judged. I know we don't call it judging, but it feels like it, doesn't it? Remember when we were the first Toastmaster meeting and we took the courage to stand up there, give a speech, knowing we're going to be judged. Oh, so scary. And even that first time when you were the evaluator and you thought, I have to give my opinion. Well, you did this great and this great and this great, and cheer, cheer here and cheer, cheer there. Oh, but we say, but where's the improvement? If you're not making $10,000 for that speech, there's an improvement in there. What is, oh, I can't do that. Who am I? No, I might hurt your feeling. I might be judging you. Yikes. So both sides of the evaluation, whether you're giving it or receiving it, they're scary. And they really do require you to have empathy. Empathy matters. Remember to stand in their virtual shoes. And yes, we want to grow. Now, the second one is explore. So after we recognize what they're doing well, and we do it with empathy, let's take a look at how do we explore. Now, this might give you a little trick into a gentler way of doing an evaluation for those who aren't wanting to be critical. How about the words that changed to, well, maybe you'd like to try. Maybe you'd like to play with a whisper and take a pause. Wake everyone up. You see, we can do it all. We can do it all. And that would be within the playing. Perhaps you'd like to try and you'd demonstrate what was in your mind. That's what we do. And smiles. I mean, how much do they cost? Even when you're in the boardroom, I'd have a smile on my face. Yes, I've been corporate. I've done it all, and that's okay. Now, once you've done the exploring, and maybe this, maybe that, let's go to the third point, which is to activate. Here's your critical, wonderful area of work. Activate. Take action. Listen to the experts. How many experts do we have here in this club? We're all advanced. We all have opinions. We've all walked the walk. And we do need to step up, talk the talk, and give those powerful evaluations. And if we're receiving it, we have to have the courage to receive it and explore it further. So if something just, ooh, I didn't like that. Don't go there. Don't go there. There's a thank you. What am I learning from that? And if you haven't got it all figured out, go to your evaluator afterwards and get it expanded. That's how you elevate. Did you catch that? We elevate each other because we bring this joy and fun to even learning the serious stuff. And with that, we don't have to worry when we have to change hats in a hurry. We're just going to do it. We're just going to do it. So there you've got my 3 perspectives of empathy truly matters. Let's explore and have fun, and then let's take action. Let's use those skills. Let's connect, and let's share with others. We all want to be elevated, and we can do it. Remember, you use it or you lose it. Step up to the plate, participate, take the chance, give the speech and receive all that feedback. If you have a chance to be a test speaker in an evaluation contest, take it. Do you know you get to give the speech and you get 8 or however many evaluators doing it right away? If you hear it once, well, maybe that's a personality. If you hear it twice, you hear it 3 times, stop it. Take that hay out of your teeth, change it. It's there. Use it or lose it. And remember what Ralph Smedley did say. You have the freedom to speak as you will. We all have that freedom. But this freedom implies an obligation to speak carefully, thoughtfully, and wisely. Madam Toastmaster.
That was incredible, Sandra. Thank you so much for those wonderful, wonderful nuggets. I took so many from them. Think, speak carefully, thoughtfully, and wisely. And thank you for the lesson on how to stay compassionate. Remember how to stay compassionate when speaking. Take action and share. Those were incredible nuggets. Thank you so much, Sandra. Swiftly, we'll be moving on to our second speaker for today. But let's hear from her evaluator in the person of Lydia. Let's hear what our second speaker is going to be speaking on. Lydia, if you're there, let's hear from you, please.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Carine Baptiste is doing her level 3 speech, Pathway Team Collaboration. The title of her speech is Unforseen Collaboration. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of her experience within the team practicing collaboration with a small team. Her goal is to apply the collaboration strategies she has learned to a small-scale project. All the best, Carine Baptiste.
Thank you very much, Lydia. An Unforeseen Collaboration is the title of Carine Baptiste's speech. Carine Baptiste, An Unseen Collaboration. An Unseen Collaboration, Carine Baptiste. You have the floor.
Dear members, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Have you ever collaborated with a team where the situation was tough? Last year, my manager requested me to organize a training session targeting our sales team. This sales team is from Europe and represented at least more than 60 people. According to him, this training session was very essential because we need to deliver their knowledge to increase their skills and especially to generate commercial opportunities. This training session needed to be entirely designed. I was in charge to coordinate a team composed of mainly 4 product managers, 4 sales coming from United Kingdom, Italy, and France. We decided together to structure this session, to think about the brand structure, the agenda, the date according to availabilities, the logistical aspects, and also the format. Once we agreed with all details, we decided to work together. First of all, I decided to organize regular session with each stakeholder, separating the team of product managers and the other team of sales in order to be more efficient. These regular sessions were absolutely satisfied because we have a lot of ideas to create an interactive session, but 1 month before the session, I noticed several problems. The first one of product manager finally was not able to train the session, especially he didn't have the skill to train the sales team. He told me, okay, I'm an expert for solutions, but I have not the skill to train a team, to deliver some skills in order to increase their knowledge. The second problem, during each regular session to prepare our training, all stakeholders had wonderful ideas, but the presentation has not been completed. And few days before the training, my manager told me, Carine, are you okay with your session, your training session? I replied to him, yes, we are ready. But finally, we are not ready. But I didn't want to ask the truth because I didn't want, maybe it was a failure. Before a few days, the training session, I decided to organize a session that gathered all stakeholders. And from this moment, I understood the point. Where was the problem? In gathering all stakeholders, finally, we were more effective to communicate better, to create more synergy between us, and finally, to have efficient content, because we understood the main objectives. From this moment, we were more efficient to deliver, to move forward together, even if 1 week before the session. Finally, each day we had regular session, and I found the results were absolutely important and significantly we were efficient. From this moment, I realized team collaboration is very essential. We didn't separate each team, but work together. Because I remember a quote from Ellen Keller, alone we can do little, so little, together we can do so more. And finally, I was not an expert in collaboration because this is my first experience. Even if I have some failure, this experience learned a lot, an incredible experience for me. I could overcome these different obstacles, these difficulties, and I enjoyed this experience. And you, what is your best collaboration? Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Carine, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing your experience and your journey onto collaboration and seeing the results of what that can do for you and your team. Thank you for sharing your journey. Wonderful. Right. So we are moving on to our 4th speaker, and Paula is the evaluator for our 4th speaker. Paula, can you please?
Number three, who is Nocawe?
I see. Yes. So we're moving on to our 3rd speaker for today. And I'll be calling on the evaluator, Claudette. Claudette, please tell us the speech objectives for the third speaker.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Nocawe is speaking from the Persuasive Influence Path, Level 2, Project 1. The purpose of the speech is for Nocawe to share some aspect of her primary leadership style, or to discuss leadership styles in general. Also, Nocawe is working on fully regaining her confidence and growing her vocabulary. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Claudette. Nocawe Nkosi is our third speaker for today. She's an environmentalist who's been a Toastmaster for 2.5 years, and she aspires to be an illustrious leader that will lead a trail for others to follow. Her speech title is Change the Game. Change the Game, Nocawe Nkosi. You have the floor. You're mute.
Thank you. Madam Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and guests, given an opportunity to change your game, would you? Remember, your game is your life because life is called a game at some point. Our late and former President Nelson Mandela once said, everyone can rise above their circumstances. Only if when they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, once upon a time, there was Mother Camel and Baby Camel. Baby Camel asked her mother, Mom, why do we have big humps? My baby, the reason we've got bigger humps is because we are designed to survive in the desert. So the humps stores a lot of water to enable us to survive longer without drinking water. Then, Mom, why do we have long legs and rounded feet? The reason why we've got longer legs and rounded feet, it's because those legs, they help us to walk long distances. And those rounded feet, they help us to walk comfortably in the sand. Oh, then Mom, what about the long eyelashes? My baby, the long eyelashes protect our eyes from the desert dust and the sand. Baby Camel kept quiet for a while, but after some few seconds, she asked again, then Mom, if ever we've got bigger humps, longer legs, longer eyelashes, and you say we are designed to survive and live in the desert, then what are we doing here in the Johannesburg Zoo? The mother just shook her head. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, the moral of the story is, with our strengths, skills, and knowledge, if we are placed at the wrong environment, they all become useless. But as for me, a positive positive-minded leader, it doesn't matter where you are. You can be kept in the zoo, you can be in the desert, but with the correct mindset, you can strive and survive. As for me, the leader that I am, I have learned that I've got a binary leadership style that is more common than the other ones. I am more of an autocratic leader than a democratic leader, but I always get things to be done smoothly. At the back of all what has been done, it's my ideas, it's how I want it to be. So what helps me is this. The leadership attributes that I have The first one, I lead by example, and I'm ethical. Let me just go back to leading by example. Today, I was running an area contest. I have never done that before. I had to organize and get people from different walks of life. I had to come up with an agenda. And what I did, I organized everything, then I stepped back, I delegated everything, and everybody was commending the contest, that it was well coordinated, it was smoothly done and well arranged. And at work, normally where I am, managers, leaders, they do not want to write minutes. They don't take minutes. But as for me, the positive leader that I am, that leads by example, I do take minutes. I just take I tell my staff that don't worry, I will be the scribe for this meeting. Then one will chair the meeting. When my time to talk comes, I will do the work. And they will all ask myself, are you a scribe? But why can't you give it to the secretary? Then I said, no, today I'm the scribe. What I have learned is that with the way I lead, it becomes easy to ask anything from my team because they know it very well that I can do all that I ask them to do. And the third one is that I'm open-minded. I do listen to my team. I do listen to people as much as I want things to be done my way, but I do give people an ear. Should things don't go my way, I always look for something positive, which means I'm an optimistic leader. So whether I'm in the zoo, whether I'm in the desert, I always thrive. Then I will concur with what Nelson Mandela said. To close or to conclude my speech, leaders, always remember that the titles that we are called about or with, they are only rented, but our character stands. Which means if we do not have characters, we cannot lead by example. Only our characters will enable us to live by example and elevate those who are looking up to us. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Nocawe. There is so much to take away from that speech. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing that. I loved your last quote. Our characters help us to lead by example. And I'm looking at the chat box here. It's actually quite active. There's quite a bit going on here. And I see a quote extracted from your speech written by Angeli. With our strengths, skills, and knowledge, if we are placed at the wrong environment, they all become useless. Golden words from Toastmaster Nocawe. And it comes with the hashtag baby camel awareness. Hilarious. Thank you so much for that. Now we'll be moving on to our fourth speaker for today. Apparently I was in a hurry before, but yes, we're now finally at the fourth speaker for today. And I'll be calling on Paula to tell us the speech objectives for our speaker 4. Paula?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I have the pleasure of evaluating Mamadou today. He's working from the Motivational Strategies Pathway Level 1, writing a speech with purpose. The purpose of this project is to deliver an effective, well-defined speech that triggers reflection and moves people to action. Mamadou wishes to elevate his skills and would like me to focus on his pace, pauses, intonation, and hand gestures in particular. Much success to you, Mamadou. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Paula. I love listening to you. I almost forgot you were giving an evaluation. I was just waiting to hear more from you. Thank you. Right. Our fourth speaker is Mamadou Guebre with the speech title, How Do I Know? Mamadou is an advocacy expert, a speaker, a learner, a trainer, and a coach. How do I know? Mamadou Guebre. Mamadou, you have the floor. Mamadou, are you there? I saw him a moment ago and
Thank you. Are you wondering whether you can pick up the next challenge? a new venture or keep this word here. I am
Zoom master, can we see Mamadou? Is he
I'm
here?
afraid Mamadou has left the meeting.
Okay, so perhaps he has network problems.
Correct. It's network
Okay, so
problems.
let's quickly move on to our final speaker for today. And when he comes back in, we'll invite him to give his speech. Our evaluator for speaker 5 is distinguished Toastmaster Tony. Tony, can we hear the speech objectives of our final speaker for today? Good afternoon, Tony.
Hello. Okay, thank
Hi.
you very much. Ready to go.
Yep.
I have the pleasure of evaluating the objectives for Brahm, and his presentation is on dynamic leadership, level 1, project number 2, and he has to write a speech with a purpose that delivers an effective, well-defined topic, something that is fairly focused. Now, Brahm has asked me to pay particular attention to see if his presentation will get all of us on board with his concept, which is to draw awareness to Gavel clubs, which Brahm will explain, and to perhaps gear action towards Gavel clubs. So, Brahm, we're ready to go. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Tony. To bring attention towards the standing with the speech title, Baron Ochola. You have the floor.
On 22nd October 1904, Ralph Smedley founded the first Toastmasters Club in Santa Ana, California. 2 years later, the second Toastmasters Club was chartered in Anaheim, South California once again. And that Toastmasters and Guests is where we shall be celebrating the centennial anniversary of Toastmasters this year. Something exciting. It has been 100 years since Toastmasters was founded. Toastmasters was founded for the simple purpose of empowering its members to build their leadership and public speaking skills. Two very simple aims. I joined Toastmasters about 1 year and 9 months ago, meaning I'm barely 2 years in it. But I am in leadership speak. Wonderful, right? I'm 28 years old. How at my age did I find out about Toastmasters and get engaged to a point that I was able to join Leadership Speak, which is one of the biggest achievements of my life at this point. And with it, I know much more is to come. I joined through being a Gavel Club member. The story goes, a few Toastmasters had an outreach program in the community. They reached out to my school, which is a YMCA, and this was in paying tribute to Toastmasters being founded in a YMCA 100 years ago. And I was one of the people in the room. They mentored me, but they mentored me with a challenge. They made me the president of a Gavel club that did not exist yet. They said, Baron, you're the president, go and start the club. And I did. I helped to found the Gavel Club of YMCA Uganda. Toastmasters and Guests, a story for another day that I'll only hint on is it took 1 year and about 6 months for us to finally charter this club. During that time, I was mentored directly by Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters as well. And I was only a Gavel Club member, so to speak. But what this did was it gave me a push, it gave me a head start that by the time I joined Toastmasters, I had already hosted a Toastmasters meeting. I joined Toastmasters and 2 months into it, I was participating in a contest. And about 8 months later, I was at the district level in the contests. Very surprising. I say all of this not to blow my trumpet, but to point out to you what the impact of Toastmasters can be in the younger generation if we reach out to them before it is a wake-up call. In Uganda, in Kenya, and in Tanzania, we have a couple of Gavel clubs, and that is under District 114. I assist to mentor these clubs across these countries. In Uganda especially, we have almost 100 Gavel club members, which close to rivals, there are almost 400 Gavel club Toastmasters rather we have in Uganda. So that is a very big number. All of these in the pipeline to become Toastmasters, possibly if they are mentored well. My point today is to show us that we have an untapped resource right in front of us. And they have a lot of potential that could go unmaximized if we as Toastmasters do not reach out to Gavel Club members to engage them. The concept of the Gavel Club started in 1945. Yes, Toastmasters and guests, Gavel Clubs are 79 years in the making. 79. That is three times my age. Just about 3 times. But they're not as prominent. To draw a comparison, Rotary was founded 1 year after Toastmasters. It was founded in 1905. Rotaract, which is the youth segment of Rotary, was founded in 1968. If I am right, that is about 13 years after the Gavel clubs were founded. But Rotaract is way more prominent than Rotary, reaching out to way more young people, impacting way more young people's lives. I am a Rotaractor myself. And from the experience of chartering a Gavel club, get this, I was handed a non-existent Rotaract club rather. Hey, Baron, start the club. You are the president. Non-existent club. This time we spent not 1 year and 6 months. We spent 1 year and 1 month. We cut off 5 months. That means there were lessons learned from the first experience. But this goes to show you that when we reach out to Gavel club members before they become Toastmasters, there is way more they can do because they are still in a position where they have no idea of what is possible and what is impossible. All these acts that I speak of are damn near impossible. Excuse the language. But I did not know it was impossible. And that's the only reason why it happened. And like Bill Gates, rather, Steve Jobs said, it is usually the crazy ones who change the world, who make the difference, the ones who have no idea that it is impossible. The reason I bring out the story of Gavel clubs is I find that they do not have as much attention, as much recognition, as much visibility from the district and from Toastmasters International as Toastmasters clubs. And this especially happened when we moved from the competent leadership and competent communicator programs to the pathways, where the Gavel clubs were almost left behind. My call to action to us today is pick up a Gavel club in your area and mentor them. If you are able to influence policy, do something for the Gavel clubs. Back to you, Toastmaster today.
Well, Baron, you did say that you were set to bring attention towards the impact of Gavel clubs and their current standing, and that you did. You even added a bit of history to that. I had no clue that Gavel it's 79 years. I mean, that is just amazing. Amazing to know. But at the same time, it means we have work to do as Toastmasters. I'm looking at the comment here in the chat session, and someone says that it means from our end in Toastmasters, we need to market leadership, communication, and analytical thinking skill to the youths more because they are hungry for it. Truer words haven't been spoken. So grateful to you, Baron, for that awesome, enlightening speech on Gavel clubs. Thank you so much. We'll do better. We'll definitely do better. We'll mentor Gavel clubs. I know we have some here in Nigeria. We'll definitely do well to mentor them. Now, we are moving on back to our fourth speaker, and that is Mamadou Guebre. His speech title, I feel we should be reminded of the objectives once more. So Paula, if you could do that again for us, please. I mean, I love to hear you speak, but let's remind everyone of the objective once more, please.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As I had said, I have the pleasure, finally, of evaluating Mamadou. He is working on the Motivational Strategies Pathway Level 1, Writing a Speech with Purpose. Now, the purpose of this project is to deliver an effective, well-defined speech that triggers reflection and moves people to action. He wishes to elevate his skills and would like me to focus on his pace, pauses, intonation, and hand gestures in particular. So much success to you, Mamadou. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Excellent, Paula. Thank you so much. An advocacy expert, speaker, learner, trainer, and coach. His speech title is How Do I Know? Mamadou Guebre, How Do I Know? You have the floor, sir.
This time is the good one. So are you wondering whether you can take up the next challenge or start a new venture? Or do you keep actually putting off that project? Well, sometimes we dwell long enough on such questions because we have a choice most of the times. Well, I didn't have that choice in 2019. What happened? Well, I was in transit with my family at Accra Airport. If you don't know where Accra is, it's in Ghana, West Africa. If you don't know where West Africa is, it's in Africa. So while we were at the airport, we went to the check-in counter. And while waiting to check in, we suddenly heard people screaming from everywhere, some holding their heads in despair. I just wondered what's happening. Looking around, to my surprise, it was my son, who was a year and a half then. The boy stepped on the conveyor, the baggage conveyor belt, and the system just carried him away. And people couldn't help but shout, scream in despair, like we were in a horror movie. As like I was pulled by an invisible force, I just dashed on that system, but it was too late. The baggage conveyor just swept him away and carried him on the baggage journey. And in a split second, he took him away out of sight. And I kept running to that huge tunnel. And I could see him far away, the system just carrying him. He was crying with all his lungs, screaming with all his strength. And I kept running with all my might, running in that huge tunnel. I can tell you, it's scary. It's huge. it's dark, and I could see him just raising his hand as if he thought I was already next to him, so I could save him. And I kept running and running and running with faith, holding my breath. And finally, I was able to catch him by the hand. I grabbed him and held him on my chest. And I turned around and I started again running in the other way, backward. But this time, as if I were on a treadmill. And I kept running to keep my balance. And I held something above my head, for sure, to keep my balance. It could have been an iron or even a snake. I just had to hold on to something. And I kept running and running again until the airport staff joined me and took the boy from my hand so that I could step from the baggage conveyor. And then as I reflect back on this incident, I kept thinking, surely you don't know how strong you are until being strong is the only option you have. We keep buying into excuses. We keep postponing projects. We keep thinking, but we buy into those excuses because we have choice most of the times. We have dilemma, thinking, what do I do? Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go south? Just because we have choice. We have the luxury of even thinking, should I start or should I stop? Or should I even do nothing? Just because we have choice most of the time. I knew what I had to do. I didn't even have the time to think what to do. I had to go after it. Are you still thinking whether you can start that project, whether you can move, whether you can dare to start? Oh, my friend, listen to Joseph Campbell. He says, the cave you fear to enter, hold the treasure you seek. What we have to do is to go for it and just do it. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
What a riveting account, Toastmaster Mamadou. Thank you so much for that story. You had me holding my breath for a bit. Thank you for that. We just go for it, and that's we will. That was inspirational too. Right, we'll quickly, can I have the Zoom master please put up the poll for the best effort speaker for everyone to vote? All of the speakers we have Brahm, we have Sandra, Carine, Nocawe, Mamadou, and Baron. And I would request that the timer, if he hasn't done that already, to post. Yes, thank you, timer. Thank you, Mario. All right, so the poll is up. So kindly vote. And I would ask the general evaluator, Jyoti, to handle the evaluation segment. General evaluator Jyoti, if you're there.
I'm right here. Thank you
Hello,
very
ma'am.
much. Yeah, I'm
Thank
just
you.
trying to unmute my audio.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. I was just carried away. What phenomenal speeches and everything. I'm just looking at it. Forgot my role. Well, today my role is that of a general evaluator. What is my role? To make sure it's before, after, during, to observe, to see what went really well and the areas that we can keep improving. Lead by example. That's exactly what we do week after week. With that being said, without wasting too much of time, because that again is lead by example, I'm going to talk about somebody very interesting, a leader who exemplifies. This part is entirely about elevating ourselves through evaluations and feedback. The leader who's going to now evaluate first. Oh, I have this screen popping up, yes. Fosters a culture of accountability. She believes in success. She thinks dedication and excellence is to elevate her team. I would like to invite Toastmaster Angela Brahm, who will evaluate the toast which was raised by Toastmaster John. May I invite Toastmaster Angela Brahm, please? Is Angela there?
I think Angela has left the meeting and she's left her evaluation with me because she had
Thank
to
you
leave
very
at 11
much.
o'clock.
All right. How would you like that to be delivered, Brahm? Would you like to read it?
I can read the evaluation that she's left
Thank
for
you. That'll be great. Thank you. Please go ahead.
me. Thank you very much. So, John, thank you so much for doing that toast. If I'd known beforehand, then I would have taken copious notes, as you know. Otherwise, I'll just read Angela's notes here for me. And what she says is, you excelled at the toast, began with great vocal volume to grab attention of the audience, excellent content, highlighting leadership speak, showing how we lead by example. So you followed the theme of the meeting as well, and you showed great passion in your speech. You mentioned several statistics about the club, and so you had done your research well about where the club is at and when we started, and all the stuff that you knew about the club that you'd mentioned in your appropriate toast. You may want to work on, according to Angela here, speaking a bit slower, time management. There was a lot of content according to what I'm seeing here. So perhaps you could shorten the content so that, and then you sort of pause a bit more, speak a bit more slowly, perhaps is what she's trying to say here. I would tend to agree. Maybe today it was very exciting, right, John? So we were all excited about what you were doing and your toast. So congratulations, by the way. So you did raise the toast very appropriately. You had 3 words and it was to the theme. Very well done, John. And we look forward to your next toast or speech. Back to you, G.
Thank you very much, DTM Brahm Memone. What is important is, in my observation, I believe when somebody raises a toast, it's from their heart. It's very difficult to evaluate that thing, but yet, Toastmaster John, you brought in some important aspects, and you did raise it. I completely agree on the rate of speech. We were so rapid that there was so much of information. Maybe if that can be condensed and probably bring it within about 100, 125 words, it's not more than that, it would have been brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm checking my clock. Now, heavy is the head that bears the crown. The next evaluator, she must be biting her nails. We are now going to evaluate the toast master's role by none other than this lovely person. He is an epitome. When we talk about being an example, who comes to your mind? Ray Riviero, TTM. He is going to evaluate our wonderful TMOD, Toastmaster of the Day, Ejura. The best part is when I asked Ray, how does he align with today's theme? Bang on. It's so hard to just give 2 lines about him. He believes that genuine leadership is not from textbooks or courses that people do. It is diving in the moment, being there, going beyond the call of duty, stepping out of comfort zone. Thank you very much for that. Over to the evaluator, DTM Ray, to evaluate the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Jyoti, for that wonderful introduction. Now, Ejura, you wanted me to take a look at your time management, your flow of agenda, the smoothness of the transition. You've had plenty of opportunities today to deal with all that. First, we start off that you took the handoff from Elena at the very beginning, very smooth, and that you introduced us to an example of what a leadership is supposed to do by example with none other than Nelson Mandela from the movie Invictus. This is a man who was in jail at Robben Island for 30 years and could have come out bitter, disappointed, angry, ready to destroy the world. Instead, he took that as an opportunity for leadership to unite a country using a sport that was favored by the white population of South Africa and used that to unite everyone. And that was a very great example of leading in leadership. Now, the agenda flow, you have no control over how long the speakers speak or how things go. But when you did get that control, you did it very smoothly, very succinctly, and to the point. And most importantly, clearly. You kept the flow. You provided the comments from each of the speakers, even using quotes that they used during the speech. And then you went ahead and introduced the next evaluator. You even handled the problem of the next to last speaker and the last speaker because of internet problems. We always love to have our agendas go through very smoothly without problems. But unfortunately, that's not what life has to offer. That's what leadership has to deal with. So the transition was smooth. You complimented each speaker. And now let's see how we can elevate your performance. I wanted to just combine what to work on with how to challenge yourself. First, remember the method. Evaluator and speaker. You left that out in the first one, but you corrected that as you went along, which is good. That's what a leader does. You don't dwell on the mistakes. You just move on. And also, just a minor one, when you greet us, you said afternoon, which is where you're at, but don't forget it's morning where I'm at, and it's evening where we have our speakers from India. So acknowledge that good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know it's a big mouthful. It's a long sentence, but it's something to consider. Two very minor succinct points, and then just remembering the sequence of wrapping up an introduction, which you interwoven quite well. Overall, thank you for taking the Toastmaster Today role at Leadership Speak. It is probably more challenging than your typical Toastmaster role in other clubs, but if you can handle it here, you can handle it anywhere. Over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Whoa, I was not wrong when I mentioned DTM Ray. So clearly, actions speak louder than words. The detailed observation is what is key for any evaluator, role model that we have. And I truly agree with most of it, what he said. And Toastmaster of the day, Ejura, what would have I liked more? Such a compelling and so beautifully brought in. The information was so much. Nelson Mandela is truly somebody who walked the talk and is there. And for centuries to come, people will look at it. Did you give us too much? I want to know more, maybe a little bit of it. I didn't have time to process, and I'm looking around and I say, am I missing something? Don't leave us in that state, because you had brilliant information. And if you had just condensed it, it would have been really good. Now, did I say condensed twice? Yes, but if you want to keep elevating and elevate us along, it's important to give us information capsule module. Let's chunk it and release it. Thank you very much. Now the most awaited, which everybody is probably looking at. It's not easy to evaluate somebody you work so closely with, you know. Well, this leader says, a leader is someone who enables others to become a leader. That's possibly only when one person can inspire through their actions. So lead by example is the only way. Well, take a guess who said that? None other than our evaluator, Ashwati Rajan. And she will be evaluating none other than Brahm. Everybody, eyes are there and ears are right there. This is an educational speech, a long speech. And people will take down cues because role model, that's the only way. We are talking about lead by your examples. Thank you. Over to you, Ashwati. Dr. Ashwati.
Thank you. Thank you, General Evaluator. Actually, I have never been so nervous to evaluate any speech. But yes, being an evaluator, it's my responsibility. So one of the most important actions a leader can do is to lead by example. If you want everyone else to be passionate, committed, dedicated, or motivated, you go first. And that's exactly what our leadership speaker of the day, the founder of Leadership Speak, distinguished Toastmaster Brahm, does. Walk the talk. Today, he chose to speak about a small example, the membership and PR workshop, the recent one. But as we mentioned before, it covered a much broader spectrum, a much broader subject. And that broader area is, of course, Leadership Speak. Starting from the birth of the Leadership Speak, the vision which he laid for Leadership Speak, and how he, as a true leader, motivated the whole team. And when I say whole team, it is our members of the club, and motivated to achieve excellence by leading by an example. And now I'm not going to evaluate the whole speech on the basis of the speech structure or body language or voice modulation, etc. Of course, because this speech was much more than that. But of course, on a broader aspect, how successfully he was able to motivate our members. And today, to explain that, DTM Brahm gave some data that our current membership strength, which is 60, number of education awards, low attrition, high retention, all those numbers, they spoke volumes about how much motivated our members are. And that's because he, as a founder, as a leader, led by an example. And he gave this example, and there were many more examples in his speech today, like the projects which he does, the DTM projects, the HPL projects, and many more projects. They show even a bigger picture of the whole thing. It shows how he walked the talk and go above and beyond to lead by example. When he say that embrace technology, he actually comes and show it to the audience when he uses different technologies and devices and make the whole arrangement for his speeches. When he say achieve excellence, he actually leads by an example when he gains the maximum educational awards, and that is how he leads by example. So I can give many such examples. The list is too long. Now, coming to the recommendations, it is based on today's presentation. I'm sure as a leader, there have been many challenges, because it is obvious, because we get some roadblocks. So I would have loved to hear about such challenges, the barriers which became an hindrance on your journey and you managed to cross them and lead by example. So I would have loved to hear that example. And also as a leader, when you say that you enable others by leading as an example, then how much growth and transformation you have seen in the members? What was the impact on them? Maybe you could have given some story or example about that. So overall, it was a great, inspiring, motivating, and informative speech too. And if you would have added few examples to tell the impact of the whole journey, I think it was there, but maybe few examples which can tell that those projects have impacted an individual member in this way. So overall, thank you. A great presentation. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashwati. And I can definitely tell you the timer must be really concerned. Well, evaluating 3 times DTM Brahm will definitely take time for you. Now, all that you said, I agree. What more was I looking at? Let me give an example. We can look at a duck and it looks so beautiful on the waters, but how fast and how much of effort goes in paddling right there, we never see that. Brahm, I definitely wanted to know, you must be facing so many challenges. In your speech, how hard is this, or the challenges? Not everybody is going to do what you're doing, but however, if we are going to follow a model, how did you cope with it? 2 points on that. When a challenge comes, you spoke about attrition. Every club is breaking their head about attrition. How do you think? Yes, you spoke about it during the marketing, but for our group over here, if you could have given like 2 or 3 points to say how to take care of that challenge, would have been perfect, because this speech was all about showcasing how effectively we do lead by example week after week. So that was something I missed out on, and I thought it would have been nice if you had given like 3 points to say, these are the 3 challenges everybody will face. How did I overcome it? This is the way it is. So each one would have taken it on their own way. Thank you very much for that. And moving on to Mrinal Ghosh. I happened to speak to him last morning. It was a beautiful conversation. It's not easy to take up a role as an evaluator for none other than Madam Straight. Lead by example from Mrinal. It's not setting merely high standards. It's about what you do and how you make people remember you, perfectly aligned with what the speaker said. He likes to be supportive and he gives direction. He is an authentic leader and believes in following role models and leading by example. May I request you to come online and evaluate our first speaker, Sandra Valks.
Thank you so much for your kind words. So today, Sandra, can you spotlight at her? I want to see her beautiful face. Yeah. She was, for me today, she was elevated the post of the power of voice, power of words, power of speaking, and power of impacting the world, rather than Queen of Straight Talk. So today, I evaluate you, Sandra, not in sandwich methods. I know that people prefer to sandwich method evaluation, but I will evaluate you based on your 3 parameters: empathy, explore, and activate. Let's come into the first point, empathy. When you connected with me, you talk about you will be using this stronger use of pauses. And today, you uses strategic pauses. How you use it? Introduce intention pauses to avoid the audience connections. You beautifully put it. Second, emphasize key point. When you talk about the beautifully, the freedom to speak, beautifully strategic process of empathy. Then talking about compassion. Then when you talk about the quotes, emphasize the key points you emphasize for the strategic process. And last and not the least, transitions pauses. You talk about today, discuss about the 3 key components, and you throughout maintain that. And love, I just love it. They choose a quote from a great leader, Ralph Sismedley. You started with quotes, and as per your agenda, you want to close with your Smedley's quote to give the message to the audience. And strategically, what you want to imply in your speech, that you have did fantastic. Second, talking about the explore part. For me, you can explore 2 more parameters, because for me, sometimes you are like a flying in the air with the speed of 900 kilometers per hour. Sometimes you should keep your speed when you are landing speed, just 300 to 400 kilometers per hour. So how you do that? You can do use of breathing room in your speech. So connect with audience more closely. That you can do that to reduce the speed. Sometimes break is needed in your when you are speaking. And last and not the least, activate. You always try to activate the audience with your beautiful quotes. That's you are talking about. The evaluation is an amazing things. We should participate in the any contest, so that when you're delivering a speech, then you can have a evaluator of 8, and you have 360-degree approach. So that's a great connect. Thank you so much. I love your speak with empathy, explore, and activate to connect with the audience. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that very thorough, insightful feedback. Now, if I have to say, I saw a complete different Sandra Valks today, DTM. I keep following, and I truly do go by her example. Now, what was different today, I would like to add is, I saw how clearly she had the transitions. Earlier would be like quickly saying whatever and come fully gung-ho and deliver, but today it was broken down. And you had some phenomenal things that you spoke about, the opinions that you put on the chat box. That's a wake-up call. You also spoke about the harshness. One side you say straight, and the other you said the importance of empathy. When you have an empathetic person who is very clear with their evaluation, you elevate any speaker, and that is one way of holding them in a club also. And that's something I truly loved. And thank you very much, Sandra, for that. Well, next, we have to say the speaker is lucky with this evaluator who believes that leading by example is essential for inspiring, motivating, and guiding others to achieve their goals. Toastmaster Lydia will now evaluate Toastmaster Carine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator. Carine, thank you. That was an amazing speech that you gave us, well structured, and you were able to follow you through as you took us through your journey. And it was your story that you gave us. Having had that opportunity to lead a team, and it was composed of teams from UK, Italy, France. And it came out also that you took some initiatives also to hold meetings, to strategize, plan, come up with the logistics on how to execute the tasks. I liked your tone variation, especially when you change your tone. When your manager asked you, are you ready for the training? We could see the change of your tone. That was very clear. And it was also very clear that you're a leader by doing. You took us through the strategies that you had during your planning of the meetings. However, I challenge you to make use of the stage because you gave us very good hand gestures. Those are really good, but I never saw you making use of the stage, whereby I expected you to move around the stage, especially when you're showing the meetings and I can even move around the stage, then we are able to get more of your story. And also at some point, we saw you touching your head. So at times it's good to compose yourself, and then so that because any little change that you make, we as members, we find ourselves also getting distracted. Thank you so much, Carine. Also, we are able also to see how you took us through that story of team collaboration. I also liked the quote that you gave from Helen Keller. Alone you can do little, and together you can do so much. That was very fitting because as a leader, you have to work together as a team. Finally, you left us with a very good question. What is our best collaboration? Which I find it very fitting. Thank you. Over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. I would like to quickly get a call on the time. So let me run through fast. I think we're getting to the end of it. The next evaluator, Toastmaster Claudette, who believes essentially inspiring through examples. May I request Toastmaster Claudette to evaluate Toastmaster Nocawe, please.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, Nocawe. I thank you for delivering a very persuasive speech about your binary leadership styles. You mentioned styles like leading by example, motivator, authoritative, democratic, and optimistic. These are unique. Thank you for that. You excelled at your you-focused question, your opening question. Would you change your game? Your game is your life. You had me hooked from there on. Your storytelling skills. You told us about a mother camel and a baby camel, and there was some humor interspersed in that story. And your story about the Toastmasters Club and how you were able to demonstrate your leadership style there. I believe your message for us today was to inspire us, and you have, to lead by example. It is about, you told us about it is about one's strengths, skills, and knowledge. If we are placed in a wrong environment, we become useless. With a correct mindset, we can survive, whether we are in a zoo or in the desert. Thank you for that message. Your speech again came across very well structured. So it was organized with your effective opening, the quote you did by Nelson Mandela, effective quote, and the stories. And then at the end, you tied in your closing with your opening. You brought it to full circle. Your delivery style, it was effective because you had some meaningful gestures and you had some voice modulation and good pace. As you said, you want to improve your language and vocabulary, and you're already doing that by speaking more often. And I see it's happening at Leadership Speak. Keep it up. Your Zoom presence, you're within the frame and you had some good lighting. Nocawe, I would suggest, and you may want to consider probably just adjusting the camera a bit more so you're at more eye level. That would be effective. And also, then we can see your gestures much more. So you can consider that. And consider probably adding some pauses so we can absorb the meaningful information. And you had a little bit of humor there. And consider applying the quote you gave. It wasn't effective for quote, but consider applying it to your speech to elevate your speech better. To summarize, Nocawe, your stories on leadership styles were very effective. The message was compelling about the two stories you gave. Consider adjusting your camera, applying the quote to support your speech. Overall, Nocawe, thank you for delivering an effective, persuasive speech on your leadership styles. Whether we are in the zoo or in the desert, our character stands and we can elevate ourselves. Congratulations, Nocawe. Keep it up. Job well done. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Claudette, for that detailed evaluation, whether you're in the zoo or the desert. I like the way you said it's important to tie up the information. And you were very articulate when you also brought in the lovely humor, the way the speaker expressed the story. Summarizing the entire evaluation was yet another skill that you brought out here, and you said how it needs to be elevated, and you spoke about her leadership style as well. So that was really good. And I don't have much to add for further because I think you covered most of it. Thank you very much, Claudette. Now we move on to somebody who has the mindset to be doing things as an example. Toastmaster Paula, a self-directed leader, will evaluate our speaker, Mamadou. Over to you, please. Our fourth speaker. And the fourth evaluator, Paula.
Thank you, Mamadou, for this great speech. As this is my first opportunity to elevate and evaluate a member of Leadership Speak. You gave us a strong example of how a leader acts when you lost your connection and came back strong, exemplifying your quote, "You don't know how strong you are until being strong is the only option you have." So well done. And wow, what a riveting story. I was literally on the edge of my seat, sitting here hanging on every word. I think we all were, but I was looking at you, so I didn't see the rest of the audience. It was so riveting to me. So what you have shared here is a lesson of leading by example. You had a strong opening, asking a strong question, asking us to think about the project that we've been putting off, opening the door for us to reflect on what projects we were putting off. Everyone has one, I think. And the speech was well structured. It was easy to follow. I love the powerful images that you shared. Such urgency, with your son screaming with all his lungs and you running with all your might on the conveyor to rescue him. I thought your pacing and your pauses were very effective. I could feel the emotion in your voice, so your intonation was very clear to me. Your hand gestures reflected your fear, your urgency, and finally the sheer strength of your love for your son. And I loved your final statement. It's the one that I'll remember from this meeting. Go for it. A simple and strong call to action. So I was so drawn in by your elevating story that I didn't have a lot of things to share for you to work on. But one suggestion I would make would be to elevate the position of your camera so it's at eye level or slightly above, so we can't see the ceiling of your room. Now, perhaps you may want to also explore giving a voice to your son's extreme fear by adding a bit of vocal variety here. Like, was he screaming any words like "daddy, daddy"? Or you could just have added a bit more urgency here to the words that you used to describe it to add some effect. But overall, this was a wonderful story on which we can all reflect. So well done. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Mamadou. And I can't wait to hear your next speech. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow, what an enthusiastic way of evaluating a speaker. What I loved about the way you presented is, Paula, when you come out with so much of energy and you're transferring that to the speaker, you can be sure he will go for it and make sure every suggestion given by you will be incorporated. And that is key for any evaluator. I love the way you also brought in, what did your son do? That's key. It was about how the speaker felt, but you also made a very fine, minute detail on that. Lexical resources, so important. Use vocal variety, bring in more words. That was a very important point in your speech. One thing I would like to add is why I did not think, when you even mentioned about his framing, like Brahm always mentions, I've learned that from here. The frame, your presence, your virtual presence. with the challenge of the speaker not having the right network issue and several things, the challenges, he did come back. So I thought that was brilliant, and hence that will be something which I will not look at. Thank you very much for that very encouraging feedback. Moving on to our fifth person. Do I know this evaluator well? Or do I know him? I certainly do. Establishes authenticity, provides direction. He truly is an example. I will vouch for it. DTM Tony will now evaluate Brahm. Over to you, DTM Tony.
Thank you, GE. Brahm, your purpose was to deliver a well-defined speech, and you did. It was about gavel clubs. I will mention 3 things that I liked. I will recommend a consideration for you to think about for possible improvement. And I'm going to mention something I really liked. First, I liked the way you opened your presentation with the story of Toastmasters, okay? And then your story about Toastmasters. So how Toastmasters started and how you started in Toastmasters and combined the 2 journeys into one. The second thing was delivery. Wonderful delivery. You clearly communicated at a great pace, and you spoke with authenticity, and your eye contact was excellent, and you were smiling, you were engaged, and by doing so, you engaged us. And the third thing, the third aspect I like, was the relevance, the importance of this topic. You talked about the importance of the youth and being a great resource, and how it really is critical to help to develop their confidence and their leadership through gavel clubs. I have an idea. And you know, as human beings, we're wired for stories. And you've told a wonderful story. I would recommend that you would tell a story of one of the students in the gavel club, besides yourself or one of the participants, about his or her success story. For example, a story of a young boy, a young girl went to a gavel club and how they succeeded because of the gavel club. Because we like stories, and that would have elevated the awareness of gavel clubs, which is the second purpose of your presentation. What I really loved, Brahm, was the clarity of your call to action to find and mentor a gavel club. And I have done this. I have done that, what you've recommended. And it is very important. A great call to action. Overall, you spoke like a leader. In business school, they teach that a leader has executive presence. You spoke with confidence. You spoke clearly, and you spoke with authority and authenticity. And the theme of this meeting is leading by example. You are a leader, and you have led with this example. Well done. Back to you, GE.
Thank you very much for that authentic and a very clear feedback. The points I really liked in what you said, DTM Tony, was how to incorporate 2 stories, what the speaker brought in. And that was very interesting because sometimes we can miss that. You also identified the 2 purposes that you saw in a speech divided into 2. And that, I think, is something which is a take home for everybody. The recall point that you mentioned about presence and confidence was yet and again something which can be slipped. I noticed something interesting that you specified about facial gestures. That is deep because words are something, and also what we show on through our face is important. So that very clearly is a speech, and I don't have anything more to add, and I truly liked it. I would like to just ask probably one more point, which for the speaker will be, his voice kept dropping. So the transition from one to the other seemed a little confusing for me, but nonetheless, the information was bang on. Thank you very much. That point could have been brought in. Now that brings us to the end of all the evaluations, and I'm sure the timer's smiling. May I request our timer, Mario, to kindly give his report on the chat box, please. And once he's done with that, if you can let me know. Thank you very much. I can see the time up there. We'll now move on to the grammarian. Marcella, may I invite you to the virtual podium and tell us, okay, that's the evaluation, the best evaluator. The poll is up there. May I request you to please to vote in that. Can the grammarian kindly read out your report, please? Toastmaster Marcella.
Thank you, Madam GE. Here goes my report. Today, from my observation, we must congratulate ourselves while speaking seamlessly as we also spoke eloquently. The many authentic sentences which we heard this evening, the phrases which caught my attention. It's an extremely long list of quotes and sayings on the theme leading by example. Just to name a few, we heard this evening, you have to walk the talk. Are we practicing what we preach? We also have to influence the people. Deliver results before you deliver the message. Do what I tell you to do. Don't do what I do. There's so many quotes and sayings. Like I said, it's a very long list. And I can just name a few more. As if I was on a treadmill and we have to go for it. Many, many more as well. One saying while a speaker was presenting, when she said more efficient, I was thinking she could have said more efficiently. The word of the day was used over a dozen times this evening, more than 12 times. We had Sandra Voss 3 times, Nocawe once, Paula Tozer 3 times, Jyoti Thomas 5 times, Ray Rivero once, Claudette Thomas once, and Tony 1 time this evening. Without further ado, I wouldn't keep you very long today. In the interest of time, I would like to say it was a pleasure being your grammarian this evening, or this morning, or today. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
I guess, thank you very much. And now I would like to quickly wrap up and summarize my report as a general evaluator. I'm going to keep it short and timer, you can be sure of that. Before and after, I noticed something very interesting. When we started today was, the minute we knew the greeter wasn't there, the entire team jumped in. Now that is camaraderie, leading by an example. So leadership speak, that's kudos, because that is what happens when there is a challenge, when everybody comes in. Now, did we start on time? Yes. The group had started, we had about a week. That was good. I noticed that people were discussing Toastmaster of the Day, and the educational speaker was connected right from day one when they decided how to align. So that is important, where we always talk about making sure that the theme is in alignment with the mandate of the club and the value. That is key, and I think that's time and again we do very well on that. I also would like to congratulate the SAS Sergeant at Arms, who very graciously prompted about the time, very nicely interrupted and said a minute. That was beautifully brought out, and though it may not be on the recording, it's something to be put out. Toastmaster Paramjit, without being asked, I noticed you had posted the agenda on the chat. I didn't see too many people asking, please post it. And it came out twice, and I also saw our president who looked at it too. That is something where you don't need anybody to tell you, but you just do it. And that was something which was very interesting. All the speakers and the role players had their roles put up. Now, what could have been better? Let me start with what I did. It's important. I realized I was not there in the group, so I was waiting and writing out, trying to get the introduction. Today, I slipped in two places. Well, as Tony or Ray said, you don't dwell in what you did, I learned from it. Yes, I was also talking about the speaker and the evaluator. I jumped the trigger before when instead of the Toastmaster of the day, I almost brought in the evaluator, the speaker, educational speaker. Now that I should have been a little bit more careful. With that being said, I think all of us did our jobs pretty well, and feedback and everything, I think, wish all of us posted on the group that we belong to see what could have been better and what are the improvements we have to be. So there is a looping and understanding. I was following Rosie Rana earlier by example as a TMOD. When Brahm asked me to do the general evaluator's role, I was looking at those two people who went before me. Perfect way to follow through. I did not even know that after Toastmaster of the Day, the next one would be the GE role. Excellent. We need to communicate, find out how to flow through. And that is something which I really liked. Thank you for the information. To close and to say what to do well is a 360 degree. And that should come in our group, the meeting group, where we make sure we also transfer it to the next group of role players. I think that is a missing link. If somebody can guide us through to say, this is what you have to do, our practice sessions will have more time, because that is the sugar and cherry. The practice sessions, we cannot waste our time. Thank you very much. And I truly did enjoy it. It was a great learning. This is not the end. This is just the beginning for a better role next time. Thank you. And over to the Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Jyoti, for that detailed evaluation and for handling that segment really well. We're way behind in time, so I'm just going to move swiftly to the thoughts of the day. We've heard so much about leading by example. We've heard about the theme. Every speaker has touched on it. Every role player has touched on it. But I'd like to get a just brief summary from Toastmaster Meltem. Toastmaster Meltem, can you give us your thoughts for today? Thank you.
Madam Toastmaster of today, that was an inspiring meeting for me. I really enjoyed. I would like to share one quote from Brian Tracy. Become the kind of leader that people would follow voluntarily, even if you had no title or position. That deeply resonated with me when we think about the true leadership and leading by example. I can say that I acquired many skills by observing, listening others, my parents, teachers, and people who inspired me. And I want you to think about the people who inspired you and led by example with their actions? Did they just tell you what to do? Or did they show you how it can be done? I think that is the key for leading by example, speaking with our actions, because our actions speak louder than words. And it's an ongoing process for me. I should be true to my own values and principles in my every action at Toastmasters meeting or outside Toastmasters. And I kindly invite all of you to use your principles or Toastmasters principles in all actions and interactions together to grow and learn and excel. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Meltem, for that wonderful, wonderful summary. All right, guys, everyone, thank you so much for your time. I've had an incredible time learning even more on leading by example. Every single speech taught me so much more on that. And I just want to appreciate everyone for coming on board and for embracing this theme on leading by example and walking the talk. And I'm sure everyone is more aware of that. And moving forward, we are just going to be more conscious of our actions, knowing that we're being watched by just about everyone, and our actions, our character, our values are being communicated by our actions. Thank you once more. I hand over now to the president. I had a great time. I hope you did too. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, Ejura, for leading this meeting with an example, like how a leader leads a meeting. And you led the meeting with dexterity and proficiency. That is what we are looking at Leadership Speak Toastmasters Club. Dear fellow leaders, today our meeting theme is leading by example. And leader is a person who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. In our club, leaders are often ahead of the time when you see across the globe how Toastmasters have been functioning. This is probably because, in our club, we have been focusing on self-directed leadership. And by being a self-directed leader, what happens is that we don't wait for others to tell us, what needs to be done. We look at circumstances, what needs to be done, and we take up suo moto or by our own self. And then we get onto the task, help everyone in the team. And that's how we build a camaraderie. Not only that, most of our leaders, why I say most of our leaders, because yes, some of our members have newly joined in. Our leaders are leading by example by inculcating the best practices or far ahead practices of how do we communicate, how do we lead, and then we showcase the work to other members, other clubs, and we help them and support them as well. So it's very, very important that, the way our club has been leading throughout this Toastmasters fraternity and leading by example, we have reached a position in the global arena where, yes, people can look forward to us to obtain help and guidance. This has come with a lot of hard efforts. And I here very much, want to commend our visionary leader over here who has been focusing on seeing the next stage of what leadership in Toastmasters means, that is our educational speaker, Brahm Memone. I commend you for that, showcasing with your exemplary projects which you have been undertaking. That inspires us a lot. We have our exemplary leaders like now DTM Nurul and DTM Nina, who has gone and achieved DTM for 4 times. Like, that's what we are looking forward, how our club will be showcasing leadership across the globe. So my congratulations to all of our leaders who have been leading by an example. Thank you, our general evaluator, for adding so much value to the evaluation session as well. I have seen you grow since the day you joined our Toastmasters, our club, the way you are able to share your story, connect with everyone. And most important is that camaraderie which you are able to build along with all of us. That shows how far this club will go. Well, dear fellow Toastmasters, this is what today we did. We have today going to be our PR master would be displaying the best effort speaker and the best effort evaluator. If the certificates are ready, I may request please to display them. Many congratulations, Baron, for being adjudged as the best effort speaker. And now next, many congratulations, Claudette, for being adjudged as the best effort evaluator. Well, dear guests, we want to connect with you and understand from you your feedback about what was your experience today. At the same time, we will take this opportunity to connect with you and clarify any other further information which you may require. Every week, we discuss and we explore a challenging theme in leadership and communication. Till then, the next time we meet, looking forward to connect with you more often, and let's build up this camaraderie and keep leading by example. Walk the talk. Till then, see you all. Dear Zoom Master, now you can stop the recording and I will adjourn this meeting.